Tell us about the impact that the
Thanks for having me.
pandemic has had in terms of accelerating this trend that was already pre-existing, how that's contributed to your growth, and do you expect to be able to maintain that momentum in the post-COVID period?
Yeah, look, thanks for having me on the show. When COVID started out in early March, much like many boards, we were really unsure about how things would play out. But it's been really encouraging to see the data over the last 3 to 6 months, not just on the consumption side, which we've obviously seen a flight to online, and a company like Zip, which is a true credit card disruptor, being exposed to a lot of sectors that consumers have been shopping at, whether it's Bunnings, homewares, and so forth. But the other side of the equation has really been the credit story, and we've seen some of our largest repayment months over the last 6 months. Customers have been paying back quickly and recycling that capital quickly, and we've seen our lowest arrears, over the last 6 years. We also believe, what we've seen in Australia has been a bring forward of the digital e-commerce revolution, and we'd say 3 to 5 years. So very excited about the future, and just some of the data we saw in the last couple of weeks, where credit cards have collapsed about 20% over the last 12 months, we believe is only getting started.
Is regulatory oversight a concern for you? Are you worried about this potential ruling, the report that's been prepared into buy now, pay later services?
Since inception, Zip has been very focused on responsibility. Issuing microcredit in real time, we see as responsibilities on fintech players like Zip to ensure the right customers get onto the platform. So since inception, Zip has been doing credit checks and identity checks. We even pull real-time bank transactional data. So we are very big advocates for lifting minimum standards across the industry. We continue to hold Zip to a much higher bar. But we also do advocate for regulation meeting innovation and innovation meeting regulation. And we've been very encouraged by what we've seen in Australia over the last 24 months with respect to the Senate inquiry and also ASIC's product intervention powers.
And Heidi mentioned earlier that you, of course, also acquired US-based QuadPay. What are your growth investment strategies this year and also just going forward post-COVID?
Yeah, so this phenomenon that we've seen in Australia, where we've seen the credit card model fundamentally broken, and this flight to online and flight away from the unfair credit card, we see as a global phenomenon. But ultimately, it's incredibly nascent in many markets, including the US. And to be a true global player, we had to have a US presence. Very excited by the acquisition of QuadPay, which interestingly is on the same code base as our international platform. And even though the US is a very large market, the buy now, pay later sector is incredibly nascent. So big focus for us in the next 12 months is making the US a success. We'll be launching in the UK earlier this year, and we'll be looking at a few more markets over the next 24 months.
So what differentiates you against all of those companies, whether it's in the US, the UK, or in Australia?
Look, I think when you look at the buy now, pay later sector, there are many different models out there. Here in Australia, we've tried to focus on a couple of key things. One is building a culture of true innovation and moving quickly. We are Zip, and we have a responsibility to our brand. And I think you've seen that over here. The focus on responsibility has been a big one, and it's a reason that we have stood aside from the pack. It's why about 1 in 100 Zip customers are late in any given month, and you contrast that with the credit card and other pay laters, which might be 1 in 5 or 1 in 6. And we also have an account concept. So that means that our product actually works across many sectors, not just fashion. We're in bills. We hope to one day get into ride sharing, food delivery, and anywhere a payment is accepted. And our mission is to be the first payment choice everywhere and every day.
So that space is already pretty crowded when it comes to Asia. Do you have geographic expansion plans closer to home?
Yeah, look, at the moment, the markets that we're very focused on, Australia, where we believe we have a long way to go. As you mentioned, we've struck a partnership with eBay. So we genuinely believe we can get Zip into the hands of millions of Australian consumers, where we have 2 million, and also millions of Australian businesses. So still Australia is a very strong focus The UK is another market that we'll be looking at launching later in the year. And the US. We also have an interest in a business in South Africa where we've seen, again, the buy now, pay later trends continuing to emerge. So not jumping into Asia just yet. We really need to make success of the global opportunity.
So you have over 2 million customers. Who are your customers? And I'm tending to think that there'll probably be millennials and younger people who have access to technologies. Can you expand beyond that? And is this just an enough customer base to continue growing?
Yeah, look, Australia is a really great country when it comes to technology. We've been one of the earliest adopters of technology when you look at Netflix, Spotify, and the others. Now, if you look at the customer base today, we have about just north of 2 million. The average age is about 34. So it is a millennial, but it's a little bit of an older millennial. And we do have a large number of Gen Xers on the platform. So we there are 16 million credit card accounts in Australia. We believe the addressable market is that, plus, of course, the debit card population, where many customers who are now joining Zip do not have a credit card. So they're actually moving towards these products as a better and fair alternative to the digital credit card. And then there's small business. Small business really has not been supported by the big four banks, and offering responsible interest-free digital wallets we see as a huge opportunity. So the big focus for us in the next 12 months is also bringing these solutions to the small business community.
Larry, finally, in terms of the US market, what do you make of competitors like pre-existing payments giants like PayPal entering this market as well in terms of their pay for four new service?
Yeah, that news we saw a couple of weeks ago, we think is great validation for the sector. Our view is a rising tide lifts all boats. And so that's a statement saying that, just like we saw in Australia, the credit card model is fundamentally broken. But if you look at the penetration, still incredibly small. And Zip is an omni-channel retailer. So we play online and we play in store. And we're looking forward to the growth there. The team has just north of 2 million customers, growing at 150 to 200,000 per month. So great velocity. And we're going to be able to bring a lot of our global relationships that we've fostered here in Australia to life over in the US. And we're looking forward to a pretty strong next couple of years.